welcome. I am so excited today. Um, this is a little bit more serious side to me, which you don't typically see. I am so excited to bring you this show today because it's one of importance and it's very dear to my heart as well to a certain degree. And it's about boys trafficking, human trafficking, particularly boys. We do have it for the girls and, of course, men and women as well. But it's my pleasure to actually introduce you to someone who is an advocate in this area, who's living among these incredible human beings who are doing their best to get back into society. And I'll let him explain that to you. And I would like you to help to also with me welcome Ola Akinwe. Ola is, welcome Ola. And I just say briefly who you are. You are the founder of the Boys Mentoring Advocacy Network in Nigeria, and you're doing a lot of work across the board globally. And things are not, what you see in the movies is really what life is all about, to tell you the truth. So I want to, on the serious side today for me, I have to laugh when I say serious because everybody knows me in with different hats I wear, to talk about this because it's a topic that we need to talk about, and it doesn't only happen in Nigeria; it happens across the world. So in the meantime, just going to put your information here so people can actually, they want to connect with you and find out more how they can also be part of this, sponsor, and some of the programs that you're working with. It will be, my pleasure to share that with them. So welcome again officially, and I want to say, please do give us a brief introduction to yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Diane. And I'm so glad and excited to be on your show from Nigeria. Like you said, I'm Ola Akinwe, founder Boys Mentoring Advocacy Network. My journey into boys advocacy actually it began about that's in 2007 precisely.
Mhm.
I started a success program for puppies in elementary school. And how did that start? I'm a voracious reader, so I was going to read some books on success, and I ran into a bookshop, and I find this book titled Success Principle by Jack Canfield.
Okay, yes.
So I wasn't having enough money as at that time to purchase the book outrightly. So I decided to save my lunch for 2 weeks to
Okay.
be able to purchase the book. By the time I was done reading this book, I locked myself in a room over the weekend and I finished up the entire book. But it got to a page here where Jack requested his readers, let help us start a movement.
Okay.
And I look at what movement can I start from this book. So I started the Success for Kids seminars. So I wrote to the parents of the school. I was the administrator then, that, oh, as the school administrator, I want to be equipping these young minds beyond what they learn in the classroom. So
Hmm.
I did that until 2015 when I had the opportunity to be in the middle school and high school as, again, an administrator of the school. So by 2017, precisely towards the end of 2017, the school was growing very well. And by 2018, during the enrollment period, a mother approached me and asked for admission process for for her son. And having listened to her story, all of what she has to say, I realized that the boy was out of school for years because his father lost his economic ability, having lost his job. So his other three brothers too weren't going to school. So that gave me a concern, and I knew they had no money. So, okay, whatever is my own benefit from this institution, I'm going to let your son come in absolutely at almost a reduced rate. So this boy joined the school. By the second week of admission into the school, we discovered things were being stolen from the class where he's been enrolled into. And at a point, on a sporting day, on their sport day rather,
Mm-hmm.
he was caught to have stolen money from one of his classmates.
Okay.
And that to us is an automatic expulsion from the school.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment that happened, I put a call straight to the mother and the father. The mother was the first to come to me, and not too long, the father equally arrived in my office. Then the father looked at me and said, Miss Ola, my son have not stolen. I have stolen. And he wept and he cried. He said, I lost my job about 2 years ago and I left home to look for a better job or to look for another job, but I couldn't get any in the process of my staying away from the family. And this has allowed for this boy to have mixed up with other young boys, and they have become pickpocketers, how you put it, the pickpockets and all of that. So I look at what can I do. The man was weeping. Someone like, I needed to help this man. So, okay, I will not give your son expulsion, but he will go on suspension for 2 weeks. So this will allow time for you to talk with your son and being able to at least counsel him and all of that. But what do I need to do? He has to come to school and meet with me at a scheduled time when I can equally talk with him. So as time proceeds, the suspension period was over. So I called his classmate and I explained the experiences of what this young boy had enjoyed when he was way younger. He attended some of the best schools, he had access to the best beverages, provisions. All of a sudden, because the father has lost the job, and all these things disappeared overnight. So the taste of life that he was used to during his formative years, nobody could explain to him why such was withdrawn from him. So that taste has already been engraved in him. So I had to explain this to all of his classmates for them to understand what he had experienced, now his new experience, and how he could not cope or readjust or adapt to such life situations. So they all forgave him and okay, reunited him back to the class. Then something struck in me. How about these boys that their fathers are not home and there is no direct adult who can model them positively?
Yeah.
So I put a pen and paper together and I wrote to the entire parent in that school and I told them, henceforth, every Friday, I'll be holding a boys mentoring class for all the boys in the school. And that is what gave back to Boys Mentoring Advocacy Network.
That's
But
amazing.
one of the most painful things in all of this reality or the drive for a crusade from what I experienced or what happened was that the the January of 2019, there's usually this New Year Day celebration, and the mother took her son to the celebration, and right at that event, the woman slumped and died. So the boy could not continue with the school anymore. He has to be withdrawn. And the father, being a man who had no job, could not afford his tenancy and all of that,
Mhm.
had to move into some of his relatives. And as I speak to you, this family is still struggling. The boy has not enjoyed a much better school ever since then. But we have tried in some instances to give some intervention funds so that he won't drop out of school, and we're still doing that. But this act was what gave birth to what you have as Boys Mentoring Advocacy Network today.
Oh, lovely. So that's amazing to the story behind it. And here's the thing that we want to get deeper into this conversation. What we see or hear about in the media, it's not far from what happens. I mean, we talk about the Nollywood, and that's the movies, but I've seen movies from Nollywood and so forth where they talk about boys trafficking or human trafficking or the girls. And it is a reality because, I mean, right now, just so people to understand, let me just paint a picture. You're sitting here at the office and you have no electricity during the day. You have to work on a generator because you have to conserve. Cost of living is on out of this world. I don't even know how to describe that. There's lack of so many things, and it's a country that unfortunately people are hurting. They're crying. They want to reach out, and it's people like yourself who can do just as much as you can do. You can't do everything. You're
Of
doing
course,
your best to
absolutely.
do what you can do. But let's talk a little bit about the reality, because I was having this conversation with you about the boys trafficking. And yes, the girls, but we're going to focus on the boys because I didn't mention this because I just wanted to get into the story. You are part of a group with the International Men's Day Global, and I actually am the founder of International Men's Day Canada, which I founded in 2017. I'm executive director appointed now, Benjamin Stone. It's amazing, and we have a lot of things. We have plans going forward, and want to do is collaboration because I wanted men to have a voice, and the boys, and of course, we always hear about International Women's Day, but we don't hear about the men and the boys because everything in the system is always in favor of the girls and the women, and everybody glorify the women. But listen, at the end of the day, as a woman talking to a man here, the point is we want a better husband. We have to be, or a partner or father, whatever it is, we have to be a better person too as well. So we never forget the girls and the women. But it's the same thing for the women. They have to be a better person if they want a better husband, because society has brainwashed us, reprogram us, and we now have to. What happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 100 years ago is not the same as now. And these young people growing up right now don't have a voice in a place. When I was growing up, we were told, zip him out, speak when you're spoken to. So these boys don't have a voice. And this is where we come in now and say, what can we do? So I am so happy that we're having this conversation, International Men's Day Canada, you know, the B-Men in Nigeria. And the bottom line is we want to get the United Nations or all the different organizations to recognize what it is we're doing here globally. And, we have it in India, we have it in all different parts of Africa, Australia, all over the world, England. So it's not that we're only just two, we're global. We're out of almost close to 90 countries from the United Nations, which is like about 182, if I remember correctly. I could be off by the numbers. So what we are looking at is say, how can we take this message for it to be taken a little bit more seriously? So let's talk about it, and hopefully somebody here will be able to resonate or connect and feel it or whatever it is they do. to see how they can do their part, because I know you're constantly looking for sponsorship and donations to get. You were talking about the some of the programs like the knapsacks and so forth, and you actually hire a teacher on your own salary to actually teach these students. So there's a lot of things we're going to talk about probably today or maybe the next day. But what I want people to know, the reality is, let me ask you this question: why it is that the trafficking, let's talk about trafficking. Like, why it is that you had said something to me that sometimes the boys and the men, but let's say the boys, and what age group are we talking about? But let's start from there. Let's talk about the age group. Let's paint a picture. The age group you said was like from 5 years old, is what you said. I mean, not even talking about organs, selling your organs and but there's like so much to talk about, Ola. But let's just talk about that. So let's say as young as, how old are these traffickers? The victims, because they are victims.
You know, the issue of boys trafficking or boys and men trafficking globally, it has not been in the public discourse. Most times when you hear about trafficking of inhuman persons, what comes to mind is women and girls.
That's
And
true.
from the statistics or reports from the United Nations now, UNDO, they have published on their website that in the past 15 years, the number of boys trafficked had increased 5 times or 15 times rather. I don't know, but at least 5 times in the last 15 years. Now, what does that mean? It means the authorities there are beginning to see that, look, this is a criminal activity.
Yeah.
As it happens to the female or the women, it equally happens to the boys and the men. When you ask about age, in this part of the world, Africa, I would say from age 5, boys can be trafficked depending on the enticement or the hook, because some of these boys that are being trafficked are more or less like when you have parents who does not provide positive psychological nourishment
Mhm.
that the child needs to develop with. And in the absence of this, they have been abandoned, neglected by their parent due to inability to provide for their basic needs. And these boys, as young as you may see them, they become prey for these trafficked men. Because of a truth, when you talk of people the traffickers, mostly are men. So, and they can identify from the community who is the next prey to be trafficked.
But let me ask you a question
So,
before you go further. I want to ask you a question. Just came to my mind. We're talking about, and for those who are just listening and joining us, we're here with Ola from Nigeria, from B-Man, and myself from International Men's Day Canada, talking about a topic that's so real. And for those who are catching us on the replay, please put your comments and hashtag and reach out to Ola and find out more on how you can help. And I thank you for that. Um, Here's the thing I want to find out: is it sometimes that when people, boys are being trafficked, trafficking or traffic, I'm not sure the terminology right now, they are kidnapped or they're lured, by enticing them, believing for a better life? But is it also the case that possibly, I don't know, I don't want to say yes or no, that families also may sell their boys, for them hoping that they will have a better life. So men will come and approach and maybe give them a couple dollars and approach, because that happens all over the world. But I want to hear from your mouth if that's the case, because it might be believed saying it's a better world for the boys out there, which technically is not, because they end up in prostitution, they end up in slave laboring, they end up in so many places, which technically, is it a better world out there than it is in Nigeria? Some might think yes, some might think no. Please, your thoughts on that, and please correct me if I'm, out of context here. But there's certain realities we see it, but you live in an environment where you know boys who have been returned back, and they have their PTSD, and they just can't talk about it because of the guilt and the shame and the scarring. Please do tell us about that.
Yeah, you see, in Africa, in Nigeria precisely, if I have to categorize how these boys are trafficked or for whatever reasons, you have, let me give a Nigerian experience from
Okay,
what I
please.
have encountered. Yeah.
Thank you.
We have a huge number of boys in the north
Okay.
that are trafficked to the southern part of the country
Okay,
to
before you
become
go further,
beggars.
could you explain the north and the south part? What's the difference, like even for myself? Because
You know, when you talk about southern Nigeria, the southern part of the Nigerian states, this is where you have the predominantly the Yoruba, Igbo ethnics. And
okay,
when you talk about the northern part, you have predominantly the Hausa speaking people and some other uh, tribes as well. But you know, predominantly in the corner, there are a huge number of boys that are being trafficked down to the side. I mean, the metropolis, the city centers.
hmm,
And what they do is that they keep these boys on the streets to be beggars. And at the end of the day, whatever this boy makes or the money, passerby were able to give to them, they take this money back to their, what we say, the traffickers who brought them as a form of trade. So
we
this
call
is,
it in North America. It's something like prostitution, like a pimp in a sense. Like it's like a
but
yeah,
yeah, it happens to both boys and girls here.
yes, of course.
But
Yeah, no.
these are children that ought to be in school. That has been denied. And there have been instances where some of these beggars, because there are even some adult men among them who claims most time to be the father of these children and still with them, both of them begging. But investigation had revealed in the past that some of these men that they sit with and collect arms on the street are not their biological parents.
Yeah, well, that's
It
like
is still part.
but that's some
It is
sorry, that's like
it is still
Slumdog
part
Millionaire.
of.
Sorry, this is like the Slumdog
It's still part
Millionaire
of.
movie, right? You know that movie, the Slumdog Millionaire movie from India.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
certain part of it is
yeah.
like that, you know.
So it happens. Yeah, it happens here. Now the thing is that there is no research or empirical data that you can use to really justify this claim. And that is why one of the things we need to do to get authorities to know about this criminal activity is to go into research. Then you look at that's the first category of boys. Then the second category of boys and men, there are some who yielded themselves voluntarily because of hardship, difficult economic situations. That, oh, I want to be trafficked for maybe a greener pasture in another part of the country. and they got hooked.
Okay.
By the time they get to this particular place where they have been promised good jobs, they just realize that they've been sold out to slavery. Some are even sold completely, and the other men over there, they acquire them as a commodity. They become a
Mhm.
commodity to them.
Yeah.
So sometimes it takes some divine interventions for these people to regain freedom. Amongst this type of people are the ones that are trafficked for organ harvesting.
Yes. Hmm.
There are few reports that of escape in such situations, but they don't want to come out and
Yeah.
say, okay, this is what I've gone through because of stigma or man up. So you look at that second category now. Then the third one is the neglected ones. These young boys and young men, they've been neglected or abandoned by their parents. And majority of the time, what is the cause of this is as a result of unwed childbirth or unwed birth, which had increased over the years. So when you see like a teenage mom, who can barely take care of herself,
Hmm.
and she's got impregnated by another teenager whose parent can barely do nothing. So such children, they are just on the street.
Hmm.
And that is what is taking me to the next topic we are exploring in September 11, boys on the street. Who keeps them there? What keeps them there? We'll be looking at this intensively. So you see, men and boys trafficking has not really gained a lot of public awareness
Absolutely.
because
It's not there
of
at all.
because we are meant to we've made men and boys to say, oh, it's a man thing, and these guys are exploited. This is an exploitation. People are taking advantage of this young boy. You talk about the emotional trauma they go through after the event or through life. So it's a huge crime going on across West Africa. Let me give you a scenario of an event I heard about in Burkina Faso.
Mhm.
You know, a group of Nigerian young men were taken from Nigeria with the thinking that they're going to get a barbing job in Burkina Faso, whereas they were trafficked for prostitution.
Mhm.
And they had this, oh, fantastic. Well, if I'm earning like $100 a month in Nigeria, now I have the opportunity, I'm going to be earning like $1,000 a month. So, this they hooked there about and they got into it. By the time they got there, they were exploited to be male prostitutes.
Yeah.
And an advocate came across these guys and want to return them back home. What you doing? And he said, if I go back to my country, who's going to feed me? How do you want me to survive? Was life better off when I was there?
Mhm.
So you can see that these young men, because of hardship and all of that, they are saying that okay, this is a way of escape. But in reality, that is an exploitation. So we are standing up as a voice because we cannot allow these guys to continue in that line of life.
Thank you. Now, I also want to add that, we talk about men are the ones who are the prey, but we also have women as well, right? It's an organization. It's a huge organization. So we want to make sure we understand that as well. Um, just quickly, can you pretty much tell us to the best of your ability that when you have met some of these young men who have come back home now, and you know what their life psychologically, what state of mind are they in? I know you have met a few of them, and you know, and there's what you said, maybe about 16 of them at least, or maybe more, of course, that you know right now, and they don't know how to fit back into society. They wouldn't talk about it, which I understand. But what happens to them? Like when what I don't know. Just talk to us. Tell us.
You see, to be honest, I don't like to. I will just give a scenario
No,
which
just
I'm very
scenario. You
familiar
don't have
with.
to go into personal,
Yeah,
but I'm
which
talking
is
generally speaking, because if we're talking
okay.
about what happened,
There's this young man that in the course of being trafficked, for he was trafficked for drug industry,
okay,
and he has to go on jail. He was in prison in another country, and having served his jail term, he was back in Nigeria. And I had an encounter with him. I'm not saying this is a young, is a man. I think he's about 44 now, not
okay,
married. You know, no business, life, starting life all over again. So you can see on his face, he's angry,
hmm,
he's bitter,
yes,
he's hurting,
yes,
and it takes him nothing to hurt anybody
yes,
because the number of years he served in jail was not what was promised for him.
hmm,
He was exploited, abandoned, served a jail term, come back to the country without a dime.
yeah,
So the effect psychologically will linger for a lifetime.
of course,
Because when you look at it, he considered his age group, the
hmm,
level of success, the level of achievement, where he ought to have been right now. He has not even started maybe livingness. Let me use that word. You know, it is one thing to be alive. It is one thing, another thing to be moving forward in life.
yeah,
So this is a scenario. I know this person one on one. He's going through it right now. But that is just one out of many.
yes. And the sad reality
There are
is,
so
but the sad reality is that you don't know
and
how
the
to reach
painful
out.
thing about it is that if you ask him now to come out to be an ambassador to as many or a voice
Mm,
of voices to as many who had experienced same scenario, he doesn't want his face in the public.
no, no, of course not. Of course.
So it's not that we don't know this is happening, but imagine if there had been some community education about the the operations of these traffickers, and by the time they approached him, probably he may not have been hooked.
Hmm.
So we have several stories. You see, here is full of different stories.
That's true.
There are some that have been trafficked to Europe. They will tell you when you get there, your papers, everything, word package. When you get there, you work for me for like maybe 2 years. You get my money back with me. This is just the terms of the trade.
It is. It's a trade. It's a trade.
And there isn't, yeah, there isn't any advocacy at the high levels of the United Nations, World Health Organization, because I want to believe trafficking is a public health issue.
Yes, it's
And
mental health. It's mental health. It's physical, mental, because when we talk about
it's,
the anger,
yes,
just for the moment,
yes,
about
yes.
anger, okay? We have that anger. Well,
So
actually, it's not even anger, it's rage. There's so much rage and there's so much hate and there's so much guilt and there's so many things inside of you that causes all these illnesses. And by the way, for those who don't or may not know, that rage, anger, so forth, which is an unbalanced emotion, it leads to a lot of cases like cancer and so forth, and diseases and health risk and suicidal. That's a whole other story we would even touch about. It's a mental health issue. It's a physical health issue. It's a World Health Organization issue. It's a UN issue. Yes, you're absolutely right and beyond. But it's
yeah,
also responsibility for each one of us to do our parts. And then you can
yeah. So
imagine how
one of our,
you get the story. You know, we got to wrap up soon, Ola. But I just want to say, to for a moment, you just had a panel. You just had an event with a panel of heads from different organizations worldwide, and you're working towards other programs as well to bring. This is not a topic that is like a one-time conversation, not by any means whatsoever. And it will continue. And I know you're putting certain programs in place, and it's to get into people's face. So I'm reaching out to everybody out there who has a platform. I have a platform. I can't even speak English anymore. A platform that you can actually have a conversation with Ola about this and do your part. Please do reach out in regards to what he's doing, and of course some of the different campaigns and the certain things he's doing, like raising funds for like the school bags and the knapsack and the good quality knapsacks and so forth. There's a lot of things that you're doing, and I applaud you for being part of that. But in wrapping up now, if you just want to leave a few words, thought, and for people to reach out to you, what are you looking for right now, just very quickly? What are you looking for right now?
I I probably didn't get the last part of what you
Well,
said,
I'm
but
saying,
one of our
but
projects,
what are you looking? No, what? How can they help you bring this to the forefront? What are you looking for in terms of this? I know you're talking about donation, sponsorship. Having tangible things.
yes,
Not being more effective. There's certain programs that you have to give to the boys. In the schools and so.
yes, right now, yeah, thank you very much.
You're very
You
well.
know, one of our community-based initiative is the Solve Right. Solve Right is a mathematics intervention class for boys who are struggling with mathematics.
Hmm.
Because I did some studies and I find that most of the boys that drop out of school is either through a literacy challenge
Hmm.
or they have issues struggling with maths.
Okay.
And as a result of that, on the 2nd of May this year, I launched a community based initiative
Hmm.
where community leaders and members of the communities will visit the center every Sunday to
Okay.
teach boys from their communities mathematics. This have been on since then,
Okay.
and I am single handedly up until now funding this project, except for maybe one person who has supported, but not to 2% of support. And the result has yielded very good academic reports in this short time frame. I am extending these particular initiatives to 45 communities in the next 2 years because mathematics is a language of order, is a language of planning, is a universal language. There's no language that doesn't speak mathematics.
It's a discipline. It also gives you
And when you can support boys to enjoying learning mathematics, you are instilling in them that culture of critical thinking, problem solving. And that is what the world needs. Number two, so these areas we need funding, at least to support a boy for one, like maybe half a year, 6 months, to be able to participate in this class. It will cost 20 US dollars just to support a boy.
Wait. $20 to support
Yes,
one boy for
yeah,
6 months in this class. And
yeah,
we're talking about a class from what I remember, you started about 20 boys and you got over 40 plus boys now because it's just growing. So for
yes,
$20,
yes. $20 because the thing is that I I rented the center. So once we can pay the rent and we pay the coordinator of that place, other people that's coming to support that from the community. So if we have to ask the boys to pay or we have increased number, the cost might go up. But right now with that capacity, my dream is to have 1,250 boys within the next 1 year participate in this project.
okay.
So that's the target. So once we get that, so what we now incorporate alongside is literacy. In the course of making them to enjoy the learning of mathematics, we
Mhm.
realize that some of them are poor readers,
Yes.
poor writers,
Hmm.
poor communicators. So, and most of these boys are boys that are about to drop out of school. Some had even dropped out, but they are back in the center now. So we are creating a literacy center for them so that that will accommodate their ability to communicate, read, write, and be able to express themselves in this knowledge economy. You remember what the President Obama said about this economy? He said, literacy is the currency of the knowledge economy. So if you want these boys to have this currency, aside of having the mathematical skill, we are blending in the literacy skills. And this is going to take a huge chunk of money.
Okay.
But we just targeting one boy at a time. Once one life is transformed, then we move from there. And I can tell you, they are enjoying this. In fact, sometimes in the morning
I've
when
seen.
I drive by my street,
Yes.
a lot of these boys, because they saw that, oh, this is more or less like a rescue mission.
Hmm.
And in the course of this period with them, we ship in some mentoring topics
I've
that
seen the
will help.
pictures. I've seen the pictures. I've seen you sent me
Yeah,
some of the
yeah,
pictures of the boys in the
yeah.
class. But
So in all in all,
mhm.
BMAN has a curriculum focused mentoring project
Okay.
that we are looking to influence 100 million young males in Africa by 2030.
Okay.
Yeah. So this one, the state government in Lagos State government,
Hmm.
they have given us approval to go into their public schools and begin the implementation of the Being a Man project. We equally have the Lara's mothers. I'm coming for you for that, Diane. We're looking at mothers who are mothering boys in the digital economy. We want to explore the challenges of mothering in this age.
Okay.
And this particular initiative is called the Laras Mothers. Laras is the Sudanese word for precious.
Okay.
So it means precious mothers. So these mothers are coming together as a team. We have on that team right now Jennifer Fink, who authored the Building Boy .net. So
Okay.
she's already on board from the US. We are spoken to Maggie Dent in Australia. She is equally interested. She's going to get back to us soon. So this is a global initiative. The initiative you talked about is called Boys Future Boys Challenge. That is the one that focuses on exploring the global challenges that is facing these boys and what we should rise up for it, all of us.
Love.
Because the reality is this.
But we
If
gotta wrap up.
the
We gotta wrap up now, Ola, because
yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
want we need to.
The reality is this, that if boys don't learn, men won't know.
Yes,
And the only thing that the society has as a raw material to produce a man is a boy. So if this raw material is taken into account of analyzing the way we want to produce the goods we consume to become standard goods in the market, and we provide at every stage of production supervisors and evaluators. The same way we need developmental supervisors at every stage of our young boys so that we can turn them out into great and good men in the society. Until we begin to view our boys as community assets and resources,
that's correct. That's
that is
correct.
when
Mm-hmm.
we will all rise up to
Yes,
change the narrative for our sons the way we have changed the narrative for our daughters.
that's
Thank you for bringing me on your
you're
show, and
very
I
welcome.
appreciate everybody who has listened to us.
Thank you so much. And for those who are, would join us on the, catch us on the replay, I just wanted to say thank you all so much. And this is this is not an Ola initiative. It's not a DN. It's not a B-Man. It's not an IMD, International Men's Day Canada, or any International Men's Day organization. This is each and every one of us as an individual to do our part. And I've seen the pictures. I've seen this. We've been in communication for a few years now. We just really got back together, and you're part of this group, and you're part of the organization. You're doing so much, but there's just so much you can do.
Absolutely.
And we have to reach out and do our part. You can vet them. You can do what you choose to do by contacting Ola, by contacting myself if you want to find out more about this. So I want to thank each and every one of you for listening, for paying attention, for adding your comments, your well wishes. Open your hearts, open your pockets, open your wallets. If you pay $20 US, that will help a child, a boy. I have a son. He's a big boy now. But just imagine if this was your child. We didn't even talk about the girls. But imagine if this was your child, your niece, your nephew, your grandchild, this was happening to. They didn't ask to come into this world. They chose their parents. People want to believe that or not. But it's our duty to reach out and help as much as we can. This is why we're here. We're here to serve, of be of service where it's needed. And I know this for a fact that I'm going to back up Ola here based on what I know. But you do your homework, you do your research, you do your vetting, and reach out and do something. You never know whose life you're going to save. You never know who you're protecting. You never know how that person will feel. And so, like one day they get in food, they wake up and they have somewhere to go. I urge you to, and there's no words I have here to express what this means because I wanted to have to be a voice for the boys and the men because we never forget. I hear all these crazy stories. Some people right here where I live, where the men in divorce, drugs, and so forth. Why suicidal? I hear it, and they had nowhere. And you're right, Ola. They do not talk. Women will talk, but the boys and the men don't speak. I have people in my life who I cherish and I love dearly, who have been victims of abuse, who have been victims of neglect, who have been victims of so many things, and they will never speak about it, and it affects them for their entire life, that they can't
Absolutely.
live, they can't move on, they can't
That's
go
true.
move forward.
That's true.
And I know they have the hurt and the pain, but they have it all inside of them, and we need to get this out. We have to start to do their
Absolutely.
part. So I want to thank you so much, because I can go on and on and on, but I want to say thank you so much for bringing this to our attention, and to follow up, join the group, and then check out this website. There's many programs happening, and if you are an advocate, or you want to be an advocate, or let me say you have a voice, or you want to make a suggestion or anything, please put in the chat or reach out to Ola and contact him. That's how we do our part. We don't have to be in Nigeria. No, not at all. So I want to thank you so much for being here with me. I know we've been trying this for the longest while, and you actually went and got a modem just for this. And again, you have to understand the situation in Nigeria. You really have to understand the living situation in Nigeria. It is really, when you think about it, it is like the slum dog millionaire. That's life. And it
You're
breaks my
right.
heart to see that as well. So I want to say, sorry, you're going to say something quickly?
Yeah, I said you're right. You're right. Your words are really touching. For those who are there, it's you don't choose where to be born. You just find yourself there. And if you have opportunity, my belief is humanity come first, and that is why I'm here.
Yeah.
We are together in this, and I thank you for this opportunity. Thank you so much, Diane.
But here, you're very welcome. Here's the thing: our destinies and our path, you know, come together not just because we were put on this earth for a purpose and a reason. And if I tell you the
Absolutely.
story about IMD Canada, how it happened, that's a whole nother joke. To say why me, why did it come to my to petition because of me? So all I'm saying to you is just look in your heart, and we do have someone who is, is driving to work and listening. And I just want to say to everybody, all I can say is just do your part. As simple, as simple as what it is. It doesn't have to be anything, just something very simple. Just one little thing. And you don't even have to know, but you can feel and know that you did something to save
Absolutely.
someone or help someone. So, on that note, I want to say thank you, everyone, for listening. This is a little serious side to me now, and a more emotional side, because it's about time we start listening. Save our boys, save our men, save our girls, save our women, because it's not only boys. We focus on the boys and the men, but remember, there's always a yin and a yang to everything and everyone.
Absolutely.
So, on
Absolutely.
that note, Ola, thank you so much for being here. And I truly appreciate you. And, like I said, we can talk for hours about this, and we have been talking for hours about this.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
continue as
Yeah.
best as we can. But on that note, I want to say thank you again. And for everyone listening, catch us on the replay, put your comments, tell us what you would like to tell us and how you can do your part. Or maybe share this with someone that you know. So on that note, I keep saying that note, but it's like I can't end it without knowing that somebody has done something. And it could be anonymous. But reach out to Ola, or reach out to myself, but reach out to Ola directly and hear it for yourself. Okay. And for those who have a platform, sorry, any kind of social media platform, or you can actually let Ola speak. It's your duty to let him speak about all of this. That's what you're there for. So thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for what you do. And
Thank
I
you.
will chat with you shortly. I am sure. Take care, everyone. This is
Bye.
Dianne and Ola saying thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.